All right.
Hey, welcome. I can't believe it's week 14 of Rise the podcast. It's a weekly podcast that intends to bring positive change to the world. The podcast that really defends the small business owner. As we all know, we've been really rocked over the past 22 months. It also is about inspiring creativity, new ideas, problem solving, independent critical thinking, finding a new path and a new way forward with passion, and of course, some blood, sweat, and tears to make it all happen. Each week, we feature guests who are making a difference for good, whether it's how we do business or how we lead at work, making our community stronger, eradicating poverty, touting abundance, or new ways to heal and be healthy, or empowering youth to be all they can be, and learning too from our elders. This show is a journey of ideas, solutions, and a new way to think that's going to have us create a vision for where and who we want to be moving forward. Our guest this week for week 14 is Kelly McCormick. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's owned 3 successful businesses since she was 21 years old. She gets the challenges that entrepreneurs face and deal with, both professionally and personally. And we're all going through it personally a little bit. She's a strategist specializing in sales, marketing. She not only does strategy work, but she helps you get under the hood and work on your business, not in your business, work on your business. And she helps you solidify your positioning strategy, where you're marketing and positioning your business to the right customer with the right deliverables and the right messaging. She's a coach, a teacher, an author, and super sharp. She's also a friend and an inspiration. And I'm going to just touch on the inspiration without getting too Sammy Maudlin on us. Oh, come here. The hardest working woman in entrepreneurship.
I'll get my tissue ready, dude.
Yeah, I know. Well, oh, I love this girl. But years ago, when I was in this new state of flux and change, back in the late 90s, I took a program called the Self-Employment Assistance Program through the federal government. And that's where I launched my training coaching business. And wouldn't you know, one of the teachers that inspired me was this young woman sitting across from me here on the screen, and Kelly McCormick. And she came in to teach. I forget what it was that you taught, but it was so impactful. And she was so down to earth and so real. And I went, oh my God, this woman's amazing. And we became friends and colleagues and associates. And she's just a joy. And she inspired me to get into the work that I do today. So welcome, Kelly. How's that for an intro?
Wow, thank you, David. I think I'll bottle that one up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should quit while we're ahead. What do you?
Yes, I think that's a
Thank
wrap.
you. Good night. Yeah.
Good night.
So I want to call out the elephant in the room, and these times, they are challenging.
Yeah.
They're challenging us on every level. You've been through 2 recessions in your business career.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do to survive?
Do you know the first thing? One of the things I did is I stayed away. My father calls them the dream killers. My father was self-employed for as long as I can remember. And he used to say, kid, stay away from the dream killers. Because there were a lot of people, and it was because they cared, telling me why it wouldn't work. And they were just amplifying what the drama that they were hearing on the news. And I get it that they were well-intentioned, but I also knew I couldn't move forward if I had their voices in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would just kindly thank them for sharing and smile. So they were heard, and I filed it, and just really got myself in a state of, I'm going to make this work no matter what. And probably because I was a lot younger, I had no track record to know that no matter what was a lot of stuff that I had no idea was going to come up. And it was a blessing at the time, because I really did keep going no matter what.
What lessons did you learn from those experiences, that attitude? that those watching or listening into right now, that they might want to embrace. So what lessons did you learn from that?
I think the biggest lessons for me were about connecting with other business people. And especially, so if I didn't have an answer to something, one of the things I kept hearing in my head was ego won't pay the bills. Your ego won't pay the bills. I have a great little gremlin that, keeps me going. And so if I didn't know an answer, I would literally go and introduce myself to business people, or I would cold call and introduce myself and explain that I'm, at this stage in my business. I see that they've done well, wondering if they could share some information because here's what I'm grappling with. And honestly, I didn't even know back then that was called networking. I didn't know. I just knew that I had to keep bills paid, and I had to prove to everybody who said I couldn't do it that I could do it. So I was highly motivated, David, highly motivated. So I think that's the biggest thing right now is we've got to I used to say, get out of your house, get out of your head. But now we can't really get out of our house. So now we have to get out of our pajamas and network with people through social media, through any way we can. Just keep connected. Because people have answers that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get out of your head, get out of your ego, let go of the negative noise and the negative voices. I had that too, Kelly. There was a time that I lost a job, and I'm going, oh great, what next, right? And I had to get bust a move kind of thing. And so I started the radio show was one of the things I started after that. And I made 125 cold calls to get 5 sponsors on board. And man, my head was playing tricks. I had, it was after somebody said no or hung up or maybe swore at me on a cold call. And I heard my mom's voice, God bless her. And it said, see, I told you radio wasn't for you. You should have been a doctor, right? And that's not what she would have said, but that was my inner critic. And and like you, I blessed that inner critic, and I went, thank you. I'm going to make another call now, right? Yeah. So what do you think would have happened, especially going through 2 recessions? What do you think would have happened if you listened to that inner critic? Where would you be today, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can't even fathom thinking that I would have had a job because I've been self-employed so long, David. I think I'm chronically unemployable. I honestly don't know how to answer that because it really changed the trajectory of my entire life. I mean,
so what would you advise somebody, maybe they're going through a tough time right now?
Sure.
And they're thinking of giving up? What would you say to them?
I think right now, especially, I mean, let's face it, these really are truly uncertain times. Businesses are closing like crazy. Big business is thriving. There's a lot of things to have people think, what's the point? But I truly believe there's a whole sub-economy again, just like there has been before, of self-employed people who are supporting each other. And I really think it's really about connecting and networking. So, but with positive people who want to make a difference, because you're always going to find the people who are going to agree with you if you want to find agreement about how bad it is. I'm tuning it out. Like I have an awareness, but I'm tuning it out and I'm focusing on, okay, what do I want to do? And really for me, it's focusing on what difference do I want to make? Who do I want to impact and who do I want to help? So yeah, it might be a little altruistic, but it fuels me when I feel like there are a lot of other things around me that just are no in the world.
Right.
So, well, what have I got a yes about? The yes is I can still make a difference. Who do I want to make a difference? Who do I want to help? Who do I want to impact?
That's really important.
Yeah.
Because it's going to, because you mentioned the little negative, and we both mentioned the negative noises in our minds. one of the ways then what I'm hearing you say is one of the ways to maybe calm that voice down is to have purpose and passion. Talk to us about the importance of having purpose and passion towards the business we're running or the work we do, and how that can kind of quell that negative voice.
Well, yeah, obviously, you know, it can change everything, but there's a leap to get there sometimes because we can get too caught up. Like I can go downhill just by listening to the news for 10 minutes. And then it's like, whoa, man. And so it's like, wow.
2 minutes, trust me.
Yeah, 2 minutes. So, you know, one of the things I want to say is that we need other people's positive energy to fuel us. And if somebody's feeling stuck, I want to give people really practical things because I think everybody's tried yoga and we're doing all our things, right? So some practical things is like call your past customers, okay? Talk to them. Ask them what kind of problems they're facing right now. If you're exploring different things to offer in your business, and listen to them and find out what their problems are, what their pain points are, so that you can start to feel a little more in control. It's like, okay, they've got this, then I call the next one, and they've got this, and let them know you'll get back to them to tell them how you're tweaking packages, what it is you're going to be offering. So it's almost like tuning it out and then putting a plan in place and just staying focused on it. And then, let people feed you the information about what to offer next, what to keep doing. And for me, that fuels my passion because it reminds me I'm dealing with another person.
Yeah, and when you're helping that person get the results they want, they're going to want to bring you in. They're going to want to hire you, and you're probably one of the only people that are doing it that way. That's taking that approach, and that's really critical.
Well, when I was teaching business, I would talk about doing that for your market research, and I used to say, don't be surprised because it's less intimidating than a cold call. I mean, let's be, you're the master of cold calls, David. However, a lot of people, that is just way out of their comfort zone. But doing research, it really takes the pressure off. And I often would tell people, and don't be surprised if you get a job out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not your intention. And I had more people come back. Wow, they heard from me. They, we talked about their stuff because you're not selling yourself, but you are by listening, tweaking. So, it's find ways to keep moving forward. So you ask about passion, tune it out, get into action.
So, 2 recessions, not easy, right? And now here we are in this crazy environment.
Yeah.
Well, what are you proud of? What have you learned about yourself, like in terms of skill sets or, that inner drive that perhaps you didn't even know you had? What did you learn about yourself?
One of the things that I
because you're pretty sharp, like you having worked with you and been in your class, like you know what's going on. So what did you learn? What did you discover?
I think I discovered a lot of different things. I'm more resilient than I know. I've discovered that if I get overwhelmed, I go back to the basics. And I just go back to the basics. I also discovered I don't need lots of things to be able to run my business. At one point I got caught up because remember in the 2000 when everything started, there was a program for this, a program for that. Man, I was working to pay programs and subscriptions. And I just felt like a slave to my own business. And I just kept, wait a minute, I don't need all the whistles and bells. I don't need all the whistles and bells. It's really about a person to a person. So I really figured out how to keep my business lean, really lean, especially learning what I've learned, which is it's going to be ups and it's going to be downs, ups and downs. And I don't want to be a slave to all that stuff. So I have kept it very simple for myself. And that's one of the things. My mom always says, stick with the winners. So I surround myself with people who are seeing possibilities and even within problems. Okay, what's the possibility? What's the potential? How do we turn this around? I stay away from the naysayers. That's a really big one. What else have I learned about myself? I think to trust myself. to really trust myself, because I didn't for a long time. I kept, I was like a lot of people, I was just a junkie for the next program, the next course to teach me. And then it gets to a point where it's like, wait a minute, I think I know. I think I know.
Yeah, but you also, like, what I like about you too is that you're practical, you're targeted, and you, as you said, you keep it simple. So I think that's really important for entrepreneurs to hear who are listening today. You trust your stuff. Like you have to trust your stuff, because you're right. We could go on learning and taking more classes, more workshops, and at some point, the rubber has to meet the road, and we have to take action.
Yeah.
I like what FedEx co-founder said about you, the late Frank McGuire. Said, Kelly knows what she's talking about. Take advantage of her wisdom. So in terms of wisdom, if somebody, I do a lot of work with young entrepreneurs. So, and by young entrepreneurs, I'm talking 19 to 29-year-olds. What wisdom would you impart on them? Because they're in this maybe for the first time ever, going to business for themselves for the first time ever in this market environment. What wisdom would you want to impart on a young entrepreneur that perhaps is watching?
Wow. I mean, they're in a whole other paradigm, because I feel like I've been in business forever, honestly. I grew up in the era where we were the lone wolves, right? It was all about being autonomous and independent. And the big thing I'm noticing now is that younger people are really all about connecting. That's how they build their businesses. But if I were to say something is, it doesn't matter when you're doing this, most people, they get stuck sometimes in dreaming stage, and they have such big dreams, and there's so many opportunities, especially if you have people that can help you because this person, that person. But I've discovered with the big dreams, they can be cripplers too, because you don't know where to start. So my suggestion is break things into like 30, 60, 90-day plans of where's your starting point, get that refined, grow to the next point. And I know they probably might be saying, oh yeah, but things move so fast. That's okay, you can pivot. But if you start to try and do something big, you may never get out of the starting blocks, or you miss listening to your customer.
Yeah. Okay. So nice. Some really good wisdom here. Go to where you're strong, break it down, connect with your customer, keep it simple, let go of the naysayers, as your late father would say. And then, stick to sort of like what's in front of you, right? Don't get too carried away with the big dreams.
Nike was brilliant. Nike, Apple, let's take Apple. They were brilliant at this one. One of the things, because I watched their business model, and if you look at it, every time they bring a new product in, they take one away. But part of their success is they keep it really simple. They don't crowd their market or their consumer with tons and tons of options. Now today, what's the attention span? It used to be of a goldfish, and now I don't even think a goldfish has an attention span. It's like, look at some of the more successful players and see how they take the packages away. It's like they offer this, so they've got your options because people like options, but don't get stuck into offering too many because people can't make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And just ask, what do you want? Ask your client, what do you want? I've got some more questions for you. And creativity is a key, I feel, to success. You got to be creative and you got to be flexible, right? I don't want to use the P word because I think it's overrun or overdone. But creativity is key, and you probably have heard it, in your teaching classes. I know I've heard it as a coach and facilitator too. I hear a number of entrepreneurs say, "I'm not creative," right? What would you say to that? And how can we start to build our inner Picasso, as it were, our inner creative?
I agree, but not everybody is creative. Okay, so what are your strengths? I'm working with someone right now who I would say was more analytical than creative. And this client would probably say the same thing about themselves. Okay. And so, they tend to analyze things. They can get a little stuck though in the analysis. So I think that whether you're creative, whether you're analytical, you're an action go-getter, whatever it is, you need to be flexible. I really think that's the key today, is you've got to be flexible, and you need to be listening, asking questions, and be prepared to change. You know, it used to be you make it, you know, business plan and, you know, you did the whole thing. And it's not that you don't have a plan, but you need to be able, best wisdom I ever heard was when I was, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. This old time guy came, and we're all like, oh, wow, this is gonna be great. You know, and his wisdom, because he's done so much. Here's the wisdom that I remember. Sometimes you have to go in the direction the horse is headed. And I was like, wow. And then another thing, I wish I knew who the man was. It was brilliant for making decisions because you got to be fast and flexible. He used the flip a coin method, and I've done this with clients many, many times. So you flip a coin, okay? But it's not how it lands, it's how you feel about how it landed. Okay, so you got option A or B to take with your business. And oh, option A, okay, because sometimes it comes down to that. You're just like, I'm overwhelmed. And it's like, I gotta do this. Anything there's a gotta, you're not gonna. So go with what you wanna. That makes you excited.
Yes.
Because you're gonna, like attracts like. You know,
Yeah.
that's the premise of marketing. I mean, yes, we came up with this whole like attracts like. That's what marketing is. It's like attracts like. You find out what you like, and if we're similar, we gravitate. You know, there's
Exactly.
3 suppliers, but why does somebody come to this one? Why does somebody come to this one or this one? Because they get each other. Let go of the idea you have to have it, all of them, because you're not going to.
Yeah.
Unless you're a monopoly, but that's another story.
Yeah.
We won't go there.
That takes a couple of years, you know?
Yeah, well, whatever.
That's real big picture thinking.
Yeah.
Leadership is also an important topic I want to talk to you about today. You know, leadership in tough times matters too. And I always envision when I think of leadership, a captain on a ship guiding the crew through the storm to safety. What, in your estimation, makes for good leadership in today's business climate? Because we're not seeing a lot of really good leadership in our political leaders. But
yeah, you know what? I think the best. Yeah. I've looked at a couple of different leadership models because when I've worked with owners of small business, sometimes the problem that comes up that they're complaining about, the source is there, and you have to be very tactful about how you, let's see how we can deal with this, right? Because, you know, we bring ourselves to work. That's the reality of this. But I think the leadership model that I've seen that I think I really resonate with and I think is very successful is the leader who surrounds themselves with experts. So they're not the expert. So they have a question, okay? And they have experts. People share their information, they share their ideas. But it's when somebody, and I think that we've seen a lot of that today, is the leader making the decisions. You're blind, you've got blinders on.
yeah, and limited possibilities.
Yeah. And so say, even if you work for yourself, you're leading yourself, and it gets back to, don't try to do it all on your own and figure it all out. Go and talk to people. And again, it's non-threatening, because I know some people say, well, you know, I'll look like I don't know what I'm doing. You're in the research phase. People respect people who do research in business. They really respect it.
Yeah. And you also just hinted to something in what you just said. And that is you don't have to know it all. And so what about the idea of, you know, allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your customers and those you're working with to a point? I mean, you don't want to tell them.
Well, I'll give you a great example. I'm working with a client. I'm helping her with social media marketing right now. And somebody was coming in to do, again, you know, a pop-up in their store. I don't often work with retail, but it's like, hey, you know, people are people, right? It's all the same thing. So we did all the promotion, the whole thing. It was supposed to be today. And then the person had to cancel because her kids were sick. Okay. So, you know, we put the thing out on social media saying it had been postponed, but we got real about it, saying the owner has sick kids and kids at home with colds. And as soon as the sniffles stop, we'll re-announce it. Well, you know, that's connecting with people. It's not, I remember the day when you make up nonsense, you know, so you sounded so professional. It's like, no, be real. Okay. People can relate. And we got heart emojis. We have people, you know, it's now created a story and people are watching and they get it. and they relate to it. And so now they're relating to the brand because there's a person, it's not just this great logo. So you want to bet when we have the pop-up again and I help them, hey, we're back, the kids are great. And so people are now coming in because they're connecting with a person. And that's what it is we want in business.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's my next question.
Okay.
About people
Mm-hmm.
and managing people. It's critical. I mean, in this day and age, we're on gadgets, cell phones, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
laptops. We're kind of gadgeted.
I have this vision of all this equipment on.
I know.
Hello, where? Hello. Okay, sorry, David, I went off.
No, Mom, I'm at work. Yeah. But we are gadgeted a little bit.
Yeah.
And not as connected with our people, meaning our employees, our clients, our suppliers, our stakeholders. How can we do business better in this environment where we're more remote? We're working from home, or we're doing Zoom, whatever, or we're online, and yet how can we still maintain that human connection so that it's central to our success and central to our business?
Right. Well, I think it's really easy today, quite frankly. I know some people think social media is alienating us. But for me, I find being in business, it's really helped my business. And I think the big thing is to celebrate people's successes online. Okay, don't just, I'm working with somebody right now and I'm teaching her how to do a response. Don't just do a like. Tell them, cheer them on, tell them you're happy for them. You're building relationships and connections. And isn't it interesting that other client I'm working with, now they've got people referring to them, because I've worked with clients, I have never physically met them. It's very seldom that I actually meet somebody in person. It's all, for me, with my business, online. So it's celebrating people, it's connecting on social media, it's liking their stuff, it's reposting it. If you feel it resonates with you and your market, don't just do it for the point of doing it, because that's the new getting to know you. That's the new community. And that's how we're doing it.
Yeah, and it's also building trust as well, and not likes in terms of like social media likes, but I noticed I run a social media group, and it's nice when people like it, but it's more, I appreciate it more when they leave a comment.
Yeah.
And if it's a nice comment, it's then I return that favor. It's like givers gain. They gave of themselves. They gave a nice word, a kind comment, and actually took time to write something. Then I'm going to want to give back to them in future.
Yeah, and I know this sounds kind of basic because it is social networking. There's a reason they put the word social in front of it, but there's algorithms too. I mean, if you're more social, your stuff gets seen more. That's how it works. The more that you're engaging, then other people see stuff. Because I've worked with people, I said, you need to start, did you see the post that so-and-so? Yeah, I did. Okay, but you need to engage. You need to, because the algorithms, in addition to building relationships, the algorithms will let your stuff be shown if you show that you are social. So now people say, okay, well, I don't have a lot of time for this because I'm wearing, 50 million hats. So I have people down to 5 minutes in the morning. That's it. Just go on to your different sites. We've got it down to the sites. So that's the other thing where you got to know who your customer is, ask questions, how did you find us? So you can figure out which sites, because don't get sucked into all of this. I hear people, everybody's on TikTok. I have to be on TikTok. Well, are your customers there? I don't know. Where should I ask them? And then we find out, no, they're finding you through your Google page. Okay, that's where we put our attention, or here or here. And that's where you show your likes. That's where you show your shares. Because the more you do it, and when you post your stuff, algorithm will put it up on top, put it in front of, that's where the thing, it says impressions, how many impressions. That's all based on how much interaction you have.
Yeah. We're with guest Kelly McCormick. She's working out of her home office in Northern Ontario. And just one thing you should know about Kelly, she's also, I mentioned, an author of a book called Outsell Yourself, which was named a top 10 sales book by Small Business Trends when that book came out. Kelly, you're still working with clients, as you alluded to, and they're also managing this changing environment. And to me, yes, it's a recession. And if it's not a recession, then it's a time of great change and upheaval. Who in business is succeeding, and what are some of the reasons?
Who's succeeding?
Who do you like? Who's gotten your attention, and why do you think they're succeeding? And I'm not talking big business.
Yeah, well, actually, it's interesting you say that, because I've been seeing a lot of different shifts. I'm pretty active on social media. I got it. I liked it. It works for me. The ones that I'm seeing succeed are team players, just like what I'm saying. You know, what I've been saying all along, where they're sharing, there are businesses that are co-supporting each other. And so, you know, is it any big business? I don't pay attention to that. That's not my wheelhouse. It's not my market. I'm more into the people in my lane or my customer's lane. And I'm impressed by the ones who share, who support, who like, because to me, they're team players. And that's where I want to send business, because I feel like, hey, they're good people, because we are a referral economy.
Yeah. And then if they have your back, you know, like that, we need that support, you know, especially as entrepreneurs who are going it alone. There's some days, you know, I don't even get out of the house because I'm working, you know, all day at home. And it's like, and I don't know what's going on out there, which is maybe a good thing. But, you know, so you feel there's this isolation factor, and it's nice to know that someone's got your back, and that's your supplier or your vendor. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a misnomer to think that, you know, we have to be isolated. I don't think we have. It's just change your idea of what connection is.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. There's so many different ways to be connected.
So that brings up another question about connection. And one thing you're hearing as a way to sort of manage yourself as an entrepreneur in these times is self-connection, connecting to source, connecting in a meditation, self-care. Talk to us a little bit about that kind of a connection, and how does it play out in you? Because I know you've got you know, there's a spiritual side to you that's quite, you know, evident and prevalent when somebody gets to know you. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it's different for everyone, because we're all wired differently, right? For me, oh man, I've done it all. I've been the workaholic, self-employed person. That didn't work well. I've been the burnt out self-employed person because I was the workaholic employed person. And I think those were some hard lesson learned for me, that this idea that I always had to be on top of everything, because I was probably the least effective when I got in that mindset that I just had to keep going and producing and blah, blah, blah. And I hit the wall a few times, but I really hit the wall probably about 12 years ago. And it was just like, I don't have a life in my life, you know? And at that point I was living in California, and I'm watching everybody else go to the beach. You know, I'm watching everybody else, and I'm still thinking I have to keep doing this and then I'll get my reward. And then I started to realize this is a sucker game. You know, I need to find whatever my balance is. So part of what I did is I started to go take timeouts in the middle of the day and go to the ocean and walk. And I always used to say I was having business meetings with myself. And really, I just was like quieting my mind, you know, looking at birds and stuff. But I found that the more I could start to chill and the more I could relax, then when I did get back to the desk or, you know, wherever, I was way more productive. And I do that now. I don't just jump on the computer anymore. I used to, holy gosh. But now it's like me time, chill time. It could be going for a walk. It could be listening to something that inspires me, reading a funny book for a few. And then once I get myself, okay, I'm ready. I'm not a maniac. I'm calm. I can do this. I have a way different approach to how I do business.
I love that.
Yeah. But that takes trust, though. I've learned, because you have to have faith and trust that it's still going to work out, especially if you're control freak and an A-type personality. Not that I'm sharing anything I learned the hard way, dude.
You do, yeah. You have to trust that it'll somehow it'll work, and life and business will support you, or
It does. Like that top 10, being on the top 10 sales, I didn't even submit my book. Somebody else did. I thought, I've sometimes been more successful when I've been chill and backed off. Like, it's just, sometimes I take a look at it and go, isn't that interesting?
and again, somebody watching, just take all this in, because you're getting this is like an entrepreneurial class today. A couple more questions. One thing that's exploded, of course, and we've been talking about it, we're swimming in a sea of content. From learning to entertainment to video to podcast to written to social media posts. How are you coaching your clients to manage this noisy marketplace and stand out? What strategies are working? I know you've already identified a few, so there might be a little bit of a repeat, but what
the first thing I do when I go in and work with people, and these are people who have been in business sometimes for years and years and years. Okay, I find that when you're wearing all the hats, when you're doing all the stuff, you can actually get out of touch with your clients, even though you're serving your clients, because where you started and where you are now can be very different, but who has the time to look at that? So one of the first things I do with people is we really take a look at, I ask a lot of questions that people don't have time to ask themselves. And they feel embarrassed. It's really, and I have to reassure people, so I'll ask a question like, let's figure out who your ideal client is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I don't know. And I've been doing this for 50 million years. So I explained, what is more common than you think? So I start to give people criteria, men, women, this age group, and then we look at what their needs are. And then all of a sudden, people become the expert in their own business because they do know it. Okay, so we get everything really simple, yet very focused. Okay, so who are you dealing with? Then it's, as I alluded to, let's talk to some of your people and find out, what do you like the best, from what I'm offering? What can you suggest, anything else? And if they don't know that, because they don't know your business, it's like, what other problems do you have that I could be solving? Okay, get everything very targeted and simple, because people think they need all the noise. They don't. You need to be focused and let the rest go. And that takes courage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like people, you talk about niching in your business, like focusing on a certain segment of customers. It's, yeah, but how do I let go of doing business with everybody? And it's like, well, you can't do business with everybody.
Yeah, you never were.
No.
That's the irony. And you never will, because like attracts like. There's going to be, I often do this with people that say, I've got all this competition, but once we define who their clients are, once we define what their skill set is, then I'll do the same thing with the other businesses. And we find out, actually, you're kind of different. You're serving two different markets, even though it's the same product. So then we take their skill level and we bump that up, their solutions that they're providing, because there's a reason why people are coming to you. And I often hear, well, they're cheaper. Well, they're cheaper for a reason. They don't have the same expertise. They don't have the same blah, blah. Like, we really take a look at what it is. And so once we get that, you can let go of the idea that you're competing with these people. You find your lane, and then you just keep letting people know the problems you solve, what your solutions are. And there's a thing in marketing and in life, it's called the rule of three. 3 solutions, that's it. People don't read anymore. No. And then when you're writing copy, this has been around forever. This is kind of sad, but sentences that are like 7 words. Keep it short and sweet. I see people write sentences that are a paragraph. I'm thinking, oh, and they said, nobody reads my stuff. I don't know why. Because all we see is a big mass of stuff. Keep it simple.
Got it. I love it. So that's a way to sort of
figure out who you're really serving.
Yeah.
What they need and want. Pick the top 3 things they're asking for. You can sell them the rest later. But get them in with the top 3 things they need solved. You provide those solutions. Not how you're going to do it, what problems you're going to solve.
Yeah. So problem might be, I need more customers, or I did a little help with a fellow who was in the music business yesterday, and he helps musicians make more money, right? And I said, nowhere are you saying that. That should be one of the first things I see on your site. Are you a musician, struggling to make money in this new environment we're in? Well, you come to the right place, right?
And it gets very simple. How to get paying gigs.
Yeah, or in his case, it's monetizing Spotify, right? And making money. It's like, dude,
my God, there you go. Yeah.
Go get them. And then there's no call to action, and there were no testimonials, and there was no offer. Hey, book a 15-minute consultation with me. I'll show you how to make it, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. 2 more questions, quick.
Sure.
And again, we're Kelly McCormick. She's working from her home office today, aren't we all? Well, not all of us, in Northern Ontario. In this changing environment where there's staffing shortages, talking about working, it seems people are looking at self-employment more critically as an option. 2 questions. One is, what advice would you offer someone exploring entrepreneurship now? And you've shared a lot, but these people are, I think I'm going to do my gift or my talent, or I'm going to create a business around it.
Okay, so it's really about asking a lot of questions of people. So and getting a rough idea of what it always comes back to. Yes, you have a gift. Yes, you're doing this, but what problems are you solving? Okay, and who do you think might buy it? Now, typically, there's a couple of people. There's people who've worked for people, and then they want to go out as consultants. Okay, on their doing what they did for a corporation, because for whatever reason they're not working there. So now they're going to be independent. Okay, but they don't even know where to get the work from. Go do those discovery calls. Do your research with people that were past clients if you can, or who are similar to that, to find out. How would you hire an independent? Get your questions. And the more questions you can ask, people literally feed you the path to start your business. It's trying to do the guesswork that doesn't work. Or if you have the other pitfall I see people getting into, and I alluded to it earlier, is, and I used to do this thing about somebody selling gift baskets. They have this idea. Okay, so they're sitting in their house. Oh, I make these beautiful muffins, so I could do gift baskets. So this is at 9 in the morning. By 4 in the afternoon, they've come up with a brilliant plan. Why would I just stop at that? I could franchise it, and I could do this, and I could do that. It could be big, and I've got a name for it. Then all of a sudden they realize I'm going to need a lawyer. I'm going to need a franchise thing, and and by the time somebody comes home from work or whatever and looks at them, how was your day? Terrible. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to begin. It's start small, test things out, and don't invest a ton of money. Let things pay for themselves. I have somebody right now in the States, and she contacted me, and she has a great product. It's really good. But what she was going to do, and she's been hiring all these independent people to help her put the whole thing together. And then she was going to invest in Google ads and Google marketing. And I was like, where are you at cash wise right now? Because I know this picture, when you're hiring all the people, I'm strapped. And so we came up with a plan. I said, there's a ton of influencers who have the same market as you. And you need to contact them, because you've got something that'll help their audience, and get them to do like an Instagram live with you. Okay. And so that you are educating people on, not to sell, but to educate. And then you can have a promo for their audience. Like, get this stuff paying for itself before you get into strapping yourself more and more, because there's so many people who can help you cross sell things. So look for your strategic alliances.
Wow.
Oh, and watch out for partnerships. They're like marriages. A lot of people, when they start out, that honeymoon phase looks great. And then it's like, they're driving me nuts. And I want to kill them. So
He
you can
snores at work.
Yeah. What's that?
He snores at work.
He snores at work. Yeah. I've watched more people because they're scared. So they think they need a partner. It's a marriage, kids.
It is. And we know what, the vitality rate is, right?
Yeah. So think strategic alliances. Who else has the market? Who you can do cross promotions with. So you have something, they can do a live, they can interview you, you can talk about it, then you have a special promo for their audience, so that it's a value added to their audience, right? Because everybody's looking for content. So your content for them, but it has to be strategic. You have to, who else has the same target market? And then, hey, as a gift to our audience, you can buy this, reduced. Yes, it's a lot reduced. However, you're getting the cash flow coming in. And then you get to the next step. Don't get into the trip, if I could give any advice to anyone didn't ask for, of paying everything up front on all your credit cards and then getting more credit. I've heard it all. And then you hate your business, you hate the banks, and you're not feeling very passionate or motivated anymore.
Yeah, and you're not so happy about yourself either. And if you want good joint venture ideas, my personal favorite, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter. You got your peanut butter and my chocolate. Well, that's kind of a joint venture, but from a business concept, Tim Hortons at a gas station, a lawyer and accountant teaming up. They both have different markets, but they come together and it's like, wow, you're getting your will done. Have you done your taxes?
Yeah. Hey, I've actually worked with those people, and that's how they built their business.
Yeah, exactly.
With strategic alliances.
Exactly.
And here's how that works, just in case anyone's wondering. We really buy by referral. So if you're with somebody that you like, how often do you happen to know you're the lawyer, a good accountant? Because it's like, I trust you, I like you, so I'm assuming you have good people, right? And then it's the law of what goes around comes around.
Yep.
But don't just refer because somebody hit you up on social media. I was just on a thing, one of those, online networking, where someone connected with me, and the next day the algorithm sent me out a thing. Would you, refer this person? I've actually never met this person.
Yeah,
I click not right now because my reputation's on the line with this.
Yeah, because you want to know how are they? Do they do a good job? Are they?
Yeah, I don't want to get a phone call saying that lousy girl that you sent me to. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
My last question, and this is the second part of the first, which is, someone exploring entrepreneurship now. The second question is, do you feel this move to self-employed is going to be a bigger part of the way it's going to go in the future? Like, if you're to look in your crystal ball. Because it's been so rocked over the past couple of years, but do you think it's going to make a bit of not a resurgence, but that it's going to hold its own?
I'm not going to answer that directly.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know, and I don't want to be a naysayer who kills dreams. Here's what I want to say, because that's what I went through during starting businesses during the recession. Oh, nobody's going to buy it from you, blah, blah, blah. And what I learned was just if you've got something that someone else needs and you do, get your strategic alliances. It could be through people that I've had strategic alliances with people that I met through social media, like Twitter, different things. I have never met them, and they have been so loyal. I've brought them in on contracts I've been working on. And they brought me in on contracts, and we're in 2 different countries. Like, just focus on, I think it really comes down to, do you have something that's solving problems because you asked questions? And if you don't know who to ask, go to somebody else who's been doing something long, and just start asking questions. And that just kind of reminds me of one thing. And when I first started out, I did a lot of interviewing with people, and I learned that sometimes people who have been doing things for a long time and are really successful can be dream killers. And when I was coaching people, they would come back and they say, well, I talked to so-and-so and they thought my idea was crap. And I started to think, my gut's telling me you got a winner here. And that's one of the things and it's not everybody, but I have seen this. I think sometimes people are so motivated, so on fire, they've got such a great thing starting out, that sometimes people are jealous and they'll pour some water on it before you get started. So just because somebody's really there in the thing and they're the thing, if they may say it may not work, don't let it crush everything. Talk to a few people.
Yeah.
Don't let one person kill your light. Like, you're looking for trends. But then that doesn't mean go with your mom and your mom's friends, because they're going to say everything's wonderful.
Yeah, and there's 7 billion people in the world to talk to. So get
That's
going.
Right. That's right. Oh, you're going to be fabulous.
Where do
we do again?
Yeah. Oh yeah, family. Don't do business with friends and family. It's another.
Oh yeah.
Where do we connect with you to learn more? This was a great time today.
Sure. Well, my website is OutSellYourself, and sell not like a cell phone, SELL.com. And I've got a contact page there. And you and the spammers can use it, because they seem to love it too sometimes. And I've got a Facebook page, but probably through my website is the best way to get a hold of me, through the contact page. And if you just want to have a conversation to see, I want to make sure that anybody I work with is the right fit for me, because I can't provide solutions. I'll let people know.
Yes.
Because if I can refer you somewhere else, I will. Because I've been in business a long time, and I know what it's like. You can't waste time or money.
Yeah.
And you just can't. So, we can have a conversation, just find out where you're at, what your goals are. And if I think I'm a fit and I can offer it, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And you've been there, you've been through the trenches and the good times and the bad times. And,
I've met the snake oil people too, kids. And I've met the winners.
Yeah. And, that's why it's hard to, you can't con a con, at this point. Yeah, don't try pulling one over on me. I want to thank you, the viewer, the listener. I want to thank you, Kelly, for being a guest. What a great chat. But thank you for being a part of Rise, the podcast. Our goal, again, is to inspire individuals to rise up, inspire and impact, be socially aware, and continue the entrepreneurial spirit. And that's what Rise stands for, to make life and the world better. So join us next week. I don't have a guest planned for next week, but we're going to figure it out. I'm going to ask questions. That's what I'm going to do. Until then, Kelly McCormick, thank you for being guest. I'm your host, David Cohen. And remember this week, rise up, everybody. Rise up.